They say you can smell death before it comes for you. I never believed that, until the night my father stood at my bedroom door holding a Quran in one hand and a box of matches in the other. His face was stone. His voice was colder than the desert wind that rattled my window. And in that moment, I knew my life was about to end. Let me take you back. Back to where this nightmare began. Back to the palace that became my prison. My name means light in Arabic, because I spent the first 23 years of my life living in absolute darkness. I was born into wealth that most people only see in movies. Our estate in Riyadh sprawled across acres of manicured gardens, where peacocks roamed freely and fountains danced under the Arabian sun.
I walked on Italian marble so white it glowed like moonlight, floors so cold they numbed my feet even through my silk slippers. But nothing was as cold as the emptiness inside our home. My father was a successful businessman, respected in our community, feared by his family. When he entered a room, the air changed. It got thinner, harder to breathe. His presence was like a hand around your throat that never quite squeezed, but you knew it could. At any moment. He had eyes like black wells. Deep. Bottomless. When he looked at me, I wasn't his daughter. I was an investment. A commodity. A reputation to be managed. My mother? She was a ghost long before she died. She floated through our mansion in her black abaya, her face always covered, her voice always silent. I only heard her cry once, late at night when she thought no one could hear. The sound came through the walls like a wounded animal. I pressed my ear against the cold plaster and listened to her sob my name over and over. My daughter. My poor daughter. I didn't understand then. I do now. If you're watching this, and you grew up in a home where you were seen but never known, touched but never held, spoken to but never heard, you know what I'm talking about. That special kind of loneliness that exists even in a crowded room. Especially in a crowded room. I had everything money could buy. Designer clothes shipped from Paris. Jewelry that could feed a village for years. Private tutors who taught me 5 languages. I could recite the entire Quran by age 12. I prayed 5 times a day without fail. I was the perfect Muslim daughter. I was dying inside. Every morning, I woke to the call to prayer echoing from the mosque near our home. That haunting sound, Allahu Akbar, it used to comfort me when I was a child. By the time I was 23, it sounded like a jail cell door slamming shut. Over and over. 5 times a day. A reminder that I belonged to a system, a family, a God who saw me as property. I would kneel on my prayer rug, soft burgundy silk with gold threading, and press my forehead to the ground. Allah, please, I would whisper. Please let me feel something. Anything. Let me know you're real. Let me know I'm real. Silence. Always silence. The marble floor was hard against my knees. The scent of oud incense, sweet and suffocating, filled my room like invisible smoke. I would stay there until my legs went numb, begging a God who never answered. Have you ever screamed into a void? Not with your voice, but with your soul? I did. Every single day. My life was planned out like a business transaction. I had no say. No voice. No choice. When I turned 22, my father made an announcement over dinner. We sat at a table that could seat 20 people, just the 3 of us scattered at one end like strangers in a restaurant. Crystal chandeliers hung above us, glittering like frozen tears. The servants brought course after course of food I couldn't taste. My mouth was full of sand. My father didn't look at me when he spoke. You will be married in 6 months, he said, cutting into his lamb with surgical precision. To Sheikh Abdulaziz. He is 57 years old. A respected man. He has agreed to a generous dowry. The room tilted. Sheikh Abdulaziz. I knew him. Everyone did. He had buried 3 wives already. Rumor was they all died of complications. No one asked questions. No one ever asked questions. Baba, I started, my voice cracking like thin ice. His knife hit the plate with a sharp clink. He looked at me then. Those dead eyes. That empty stare. You will do your duty, he said. Each word was a nail in a coffin. Or you will bring shame upon this family. And I will not tolerate shame. My mother's fork trembled in her hand. She didn't look up. Didn't defend me. Didn't say a word. I was alone. That night, I stood on my balcony overlooking the gardens. The night jasmine was blooming, sweet and intoxicating. The stars above Riyadh glittered like diamonds scattered across black velvet. It was beautiful. Breathtakingly beautiful. And I wanted to jump. I gripped the railing so hard my knuckles turned white. The edge was just a step away. One step, and all of this would be over. The cage would open. I would finally be free. But I didn't jump. Something stopped me. I don't know what. Maybe fear. Maybe stubbornness. Maybe, and I didn't know it then, it was a hand I couldn't see, holding me back. Keeping me alive for a reason I couldn't yet understand. I went back inside, locked my door, and did something I had never done before. I opened my laptop. And I typed 3 words into the search bar. 3 words that would change everything. 3 words that would save my life, and nearly end it. I typed, "Who is Jesus?" The cursor blinked at me like a warning. I stared at those 3 words on the screen, "Who is Jesus?" And my finger hovered over the delete button. In my country, this wasn't just curiosity. This was treason. This was apostasy. This was the kind of question that made people disappear. But I pressed enter anyway. The search results loaded. Thousands of them. Millions. Articles. Videos. Testimonies. Images of a man with kind eyes and outstretched hands. I had seen his face before, always in whispers, always in warnings. The Christians worship a man, my teachers had told me. They are kafir. Unbelievers. Destined for hell. But sitting there in the blue glow of my laptop screen, alone in my golden cage, I didn't care about hell anymore. I was already living in it. I clicked on a video. A former Muslim woman, her face blurred for safety, speaking in Arabic. Her voice shook as she described her encounter with Jesus. How he appeared to her in a dream. How he called her by name. How his love shattered everything she thought she knew. I watched it 3 times. Then I watched another. And another. I couldn't stop. It was like drinking water after years of thirst. I was desperate, frantic, drowning in this forbidden truth that tasted like freedom. By the time the sun rose and the first call to prayer echoed across Riyadh, I had filled a notebook with questions. My hand cramped from writing. My eyes burned from staring at the screen. But something inside me, something I thought had died years ago, was waking up. Hope. Dangerous, terrifying, beautiful hope. I managed to hide my searching for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of living a double life. During the day, I was the obedient daughter. I wore my abaya. I lowered my eyes. I prepared for a marriage that felt like a funeral. At night, I became someone else. Someone hungry. Someone desperate. Someone searching for a God who might actually answer. I found a digital copy of the Bible, the Injil, and downloaded it onto my phone. I hid it in a folder labeled recipes. Every night, under my covers with the brightness turned down, I would read. The words were like fire. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That was Jesus speaking. In the book of Matthew. I read that line and something broke open inside my chest. I sobbed into my pillow, silent, shaking sobs that felt like they would tear me apart. Rest. When was the last time I had felt rest? For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Loved. The world. Whoever. Not just men. Not just the righteous. Not just the chosen few. Whoever. Even me? Listen to me carefully, because this is important. I had spent my entire life trying to earn Allah's approval. Trying to be good enough, pure enough, obedient enough. And I never was. I was never enough. The God I served was distant, demanding, impossible to please. But this Jesus, he was different. He didn't want my performance. He wanted my heart. I didn't understand it. But I wanted it. God, I wanted it so badly it hurt. My father found out on a Tuesday. I had been careless. Distracted. I left my phone on my bed while I went to wash for afternoon prayer. I didn't lock it. I didn't hide the screen. And my father had a habit of walking into my room unannounced. To check on me. To control me. To remind me that even my breathing required his permission. When I came back, he was standing in the center of my room, my phone in his hand. His face was blank. Expressionless. That's when I knew. That's when I knew I was dead. What, he said slowly, his voice like gravel scraping concrete, is this? He turned the screen toward me. The Bible app was open. The Book of John. Chapter 14. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. My mouth went dry. My heart stopped. The room spun. Baba, I can explain. Explain? His voice exploded. He hurled my phone against the wall. It shattered. Glass sprayed across the marble floor like shrapnel. You will explain why you have brought this filth into my home. This blasphemy? He crossed the room in 3 strides. His hand shot out and grabbed my arm, his grip like iron, his fingers digging into my flesh hard enough to bruise. I gasped in pain, but I didn't cry out. I had learned long ago that crying only made it worse. His face was inches from mine. I could smell coffee on his breath. See the veins pulsing in his temples. His eyes, those black, bottomless eyes, they weren't empty anymore. They were burning with something primal. Something ancient. Rage. You are my daughter, he hissed. My blood. My name. And you dare, defile this family with Christian poison? It's not poison, I whispered. I don't know where the words came from. I don't know how I found the courage. But they came out anyway. It's truth. The slap came so fast I didn't see it. I only felt it, an explosion of pain across my cheek that sent me stumbling backward. I hit the wall. Tasted blood. My ear rang with a high-pitched whine. You will renounce this, my father said, his voice deadly calm now. The rage had frozen over into something worse. Something calculated. You will burn that filth. You will beg Allah for forgiveness. And you will marry Sheikh Abdulaziz in 3 weeks. 3 weeks? My voice came out strangled. You said 6 months. That was before you became a whore for the Christians. The word hit harder than the slap. I am not. You are. He leaned down, his face so close I could see my reflection in his eyes, small, terrified, broken. You are a disgrace. A stain. And I will cleanse you. One way or another. He released my arm and straightened his thobe, smoothing out invisible wrinkles as if he hadn't just destroyed his daughter. As if this was just another business transaction. The wedding is in 3 weeks, he repeated. You will smile. You will obey. You will forget this foolishness. Or. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. I knew what or meant. Honor killings weren't just stories in my world. They were reality. They were justified. They were legal. A father had the right to protect his family's reputation. By any means necessary. Even murder. He walked to the door, then paused. Without turning around, he said, "Your mother will prepare you for the wedding. You will not leave this house. You will not use the internet. You will not speak to anyone outside this family. If you try to run, I will find you. And I will make you wish you had never been born." The door closed behind him with a soft click. That soft click was louder than any scream. I collapsed onto my bed, my whole body shaking. I pressed my hand against my burning cheek and felt the wetness of tears I didn't remember crying. The broken phone lay scattered across the floor like the pieces of my life, shattered, irreparable, destroyed. 3 weeks. I had 3 weeks until I was handed over to a man who had buried 3 wives. 3 weeks until my life ended. 3 weeks until I became another statistic, another silent woman, another ghost haunting a mansion. My mother came to my room an hour later. She didn't knock. She never knocked. She stood in the doorway, her face veiled, her eyes downcast. In her hands was a wedding dress, white silk embroidered with gold thread. Beautiful. Expensive. A burial shroud disguised as bridal wear. "Ummy, please," my voice broke. "Please don't make me do this." She said nothing. She laid the dress on my bed, smoothed it with trembling fingers, and turned to leave. "Ummy." I grabbed her arm. "Please. Talk to me. Help me. You're my mother." She pulled away from me like I was fire. Like touching me would burn her. Then she spoke. Her voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. "I cannot help you," she whispered. "I couldn't even help myself." And she left. I stared at that wedding dress for hours. As the sun set and darkness swallowed my room, I stared at that beautiful white lie. That expensive death sentence. And for the second time, I thought about jumping from my balcony. But I didn't. Instead, I did something more terrifying than death. I knelt beside my bed, not on my prayer rug facing Mecca, but right there on the cold marble floor, and I prayed to a God I barely knew. "Jesus," I whispered into the darkness. My voice shook. My whole body shook. "Jesus, if you're real, if you're really real. I need you. I don't know how to pray to you. I don't know the right words. But I'm out of options. I'm out of time. I'm out of everything." Tears streamed down my face, hot and desperate. "Please. Please don't let me die like this. Don't let me disappear into silence like all the other women before me. If you're the truth, show me. Save me. I'll give you everything. My life. My family. My safety. Everything." I waited. Silence. The same silence I had heard my entire life. But this time, it felt different. This time, the silence wasn't empty. It was waiting. The bruise on my cheek turned purple, then yellow, then faded into a ghost of itself. But the wound inside me only grew darker. For the next 5 days, I was a prisoner in my own home. My father had the internet shut off in my room. He took my laptop, my tablet, every device I owned. The servants were instructed to watch me. My mother brought my meals, 3 times a day. She would enter with a tray of food I couldn't eat, set it down without looking at me, and leave without a word. I was being erased. Slowly. Methodically. Completely. Every morning, I woke to the call to prayer. That sound that used to be my rhythm, my routine, my religion, now it felt like mockery. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. God is great. God is great. But which God? And great for whom? I forced myself to pray. I went through the motions because I had to, because servants were watching, because my father would check, because one more sign of rebellion could mean my death came sooner than 3 weeks. I performed wudu, the ritual washing. Cold water on my hands, my face, my arms, my feet. I had done this thousands of times. Tens of thousands. It was supposed to purify me. Make me clean. Acceptable. I felt nothing but the cold. I spread my prayer rug, the same burgundy silk I had prayed on since childhood, and I knelt facing Mecca. I recited the words I had memorized before I could read. Arabic flowing from my lips like programmed code. Subhana Rabbil Adhim. Glory be to my Lord, the Most Great. I pressed my forehead to the rug and waited for something. Anything. A whisper. A feeling. A sign that Allah heard me. That Allah cared. That Allah saw me as more than property, more than a commodity, more than a problem to be solved with marriage or murder. Nothing. Just the sound of my own breathing. Just the cold marble beneath my knees. Just the suffocating scent of oud incense that seemed to seep into my skin, my lungs, my soul. I stayed prostrate until my back ached. Until tears soaked into the silk beneath my face. Until I couldn't tell if I was praying or begging or just surrendering to the inevitable. Please, I whispered in Arabic. Please, if you're there, if you've ever been there, answer me. I've served you my whole life. I've obeyed every rule. I've worn the hijab. I've fasted. I've given zakah. I've memorized your words. What more do you want from me? The silence was so complete it had weight. It pressed down on me like water, like dirt, like I was already in my grave. Have you ever prayed to a God who doesn't answer? Not sometimes. Not when you're not worthy. Not when you haven't earned it. But never. A God who has never, not once, made his presence known to you. A God who feels less real than the cold floor beneath your knees. That was my Allah. I had worshipped him out of fear, out of duty, out of tradition. But I had never felt him. Not once. Not ever. And now, when I needed him most, when I was staring down the barrel of a forced marriage that would destroy me, he was silent. As he had always been. On the 7th day of my imprisonment, my mother brought me new clothes. A pale pink dress. Modest but elegant. Expensive fabric that whispered when it moved. She laid it on my bed alongside a matching hijab and jewelry, gold bangles that jingled like chains. Tomorrow, she said quietly, still not looking at me, Sheikh Abdulaziz will come for dinner. To meet you formally. Your father expects you to be agreeable. Agreeable. That was the word she used. As if I was a business deal being negotiated. As if my humanity was irrelevant. And if I'm not agreeable? I asked. My voice sounded hollow. Dead. I didn't recognize it. My mother's hands trembled as she adjusted the dress on the bed. For a moment, just a flicker, I thought she might say something real. Something human. Something that acknowledged the horror of what was happening. Instead, she said, then your father will do what he believes is necessary. She turned to leave. Ummi. I stood up. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to stand. To face her. To try one more time. Did you love Baba? When you married him, did you have a choice? Her hand froze on the doorknob. Her shoulders tensed beneath her black abaya. For a long moment, she didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't breathe. Then, so quietly I almost didn't hear, love and choice are luxuries women like us cannot afford. The door closed behind her. And I understood, with crushing clarity, that my mother had been me once. Young. Trapped. Hopeless. And the system had won. It had broken her so completely that now she was part of it. An accomplice to my destruction because she had no strength left to fight. I looked at the pink dress laid out like a corpse on my bed. At the gold jewelry that would mark me as owned. At the hijab that would cover my voice as much as my hair. And I screamed. I screamed until my throat was raw. Until my voice gave out. Until the servants came running and my father burst through the door with murder in his eyes. Enough, he roared. But I couldn't stop. The scream had been building inside me for 23 years. It poured out like poison, like blood, like something that had been rotting in my chest finally breaking free. My father grabbed my shoulders and shook me hard. My head snapped back. The room blurred. "You will be silent," he shouted. "You will obey. You will. I hate you." The words exploded from somewhere deep and primal. I hate you. I hate this. I hate Allah. I hate everything you've made me believe. The slap came harder this time. I tasted blood immediately, my lips split against my teeth. I crumpled to the floor, my ears ringing, my vision swimming. My father stood over me, his chest heaving. His face was red. A vein pulsed in his forehead. For a moment, I thought he might kill me right there. Wrap his hands around my throat and squeeze until the problem was solved. But he didn't. He smiled. It was worse than any violence. "You will learn," he said softly, "that submission is not a choice. It is survival." He walked out. Locked the door from the outside. And I was alone again. Alone with my blood and my bruises and my breaking mind. That night, I tried to pray to Jesus again. I knelt beside my bed, the same position I had taken 5 days ago when I had first called out to him. When I had offered him everything. "Jesus," I whispered through my split lip. "Jesus, where are you?" "Nothing. You said you loved the world. You said whoever believes." "I believe. I'm trying to believe. So where are you?" "Silence. I gave you everything. I risked everything. I lost everything. And you're silent just like Allah. Just like every god I've ever prayed to. Silent." I pressed my fists against my eyes. The tears wouldn't stop. They poured out like a flood I had been holding back my entire life. "Please," I sobbed. "Please, I can't do this alone. I'm not strong enough. I'm not brave enough. I'm just so tired. So tired of fighting. So tired of hurting. So tired of being invisible." I waited. And waited. And the silence grew so heavy I felt like I was suffocating. If you've ever been in that place, that dark, desperate place where you've prayed until you have no words left, cried until you have no tears left, hoped until you have no hope left, you know what I'm talking about. That moment when you realize you might be alone after all. That maybe there is no one listening. That maybe you're screaming into a void that doesn't care. I was there. I was drowning. And I couldn't feel anyone reaching for me. I climbed into bed still wearing my clothes from the day. I didn't have the energy to change. I pulled the covers over my head and curled into a ball, small, broken, defeated. "I can't do this," I whispered into the darkness. "Tomorrow he comes. In 3 weeks I'm gone. And after that, I'm dead. Maybe not my body. But everything that makes me me. Dead." I closed my eyes. And I prayed one final prayer. Not to Allah. Not to Jesus. Not to anyone. Just into the void. If there is a God anywhere who actually cares about me, who sees me as more than property, more than a problem, more than a thing to be used, please. Show me. Before it's too late. Then I did something I had never done before in my life. I stopped waiting for an answer. I stopped hoping. I surrendered to the silence. I don't know what time I fell asleep. Exhaustion finally dragged me under like a current pulling me into dark water. My body gave up before my mind did. But somewhere in the deepest part of the night, in that space between consciousness and oblivion, something changed. The air in my room shifted. I felt it before I saw anything. A warmth that had no source. A presence that had no name. A light that was shining even though my eyes were closed. And a voice. Soft. Clear. Unmistakable. Speaking my name. Not my Arabic name, the one my father gave me, the one that meant light in a language that had only shown me darkness. A different name. A name I had never heard before. But somehow, impossibly, I knew it was mine. My eyes opened. And everything changed. The light was impossible. That's the first thing I need you to understand. It wasn't coming from my window, the curtains were drawn, and it was still deep night outside. It wasn't coming from a lamp or my phone or any logical source. It was just there. Filling my room like water filling a glass. Soft. Golden. Warm. The kind of warmth that reaches past your skin, past your bones, straight into the frozen places inside you that you didn't even know were cold. I sat up in bed, my heart hammering against my ribs. My hands gripped the sheets. Every instinct screamed that I should be afraid, but I wasn't. I felt safe. For the first time in my entire life, I felt completely, utterly safe. "Who's there?" I whispered. No answer. Just the light. Just the warmth. Just that presence that felt like being held without being touched. And then I heard it again. That voice. Beloved. One word. Just one word. But it shattered something inside me. Some wall I had built around my heart to survive, it cracked clean through. Beloved. No one had ever called me that. No one had ever made me feel like I was anything more than a burden, a responsibility, a problem to be managed. But that voice spoke my worth like it was an undeniable fact. Like I was treasured. Chosen. Wanted. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice shaking. The light grew brighter, but it didn't hurt my eyes. It was the opposite of painful. It was like seeing clearly for the first time after a lifetime of living in fog. And though I saw no face, no form, no physical being, I knew. I knew with every fiber of my being who was in my room. Jesus. He was there. Really there. Not a metaphor. Not a feeling. Not my imagination or desperation playing tricks on me. Him. The tears came immediately. I couldn't stop them. They poured down my face like years of grief finally finding an exit. "I called you," I sobbed. "I called you and you didn't answer. I thought you left me alone. I thought you were silent like Allah. I thought." I heard every word. His voice was everywhere and nowhere. Inside me and around me. Gentle but unshakable. I heard every prayer. Every tear. Every scream into the darkness. I was never silent, beloved. You just hadn't learned my language yet. Your language? Love. That single word broke me completely. I collapsed forward, my face in my hands, sobbing so hard my whole body shook. All the pain, all the fear, all the years of emptiness, it all came pouring out. And somehow, in that impossible light, I felt it being lifted. Not erased. Not forgotten. But carried. "I can't do this," I cried. "Tomorrow that man comes. In 3 weeks I'm married. I'm trapped. There's no way out. Even you can't save me from this. Do you believe I am who I say I am?" I looked up, tears streaming down my face. "I don't know. I want to. But I don't know anything anymore." "Then let me show you." The light intensified, and suddenly I wasn't in my room anymore. I was standing in a desert. Night sky above me, stars brighter than I had ever seen. And ahead of me, in the distance, I saw a figure. A man. Walking toward me. Even from far away, I could see the scars on his hands. The way he moved, purposeful, steady, unstoppable. Coming for me. "Who are you?" I called out, even though I already knew. He was closer now. I could see his face, kind eyes that held oceans of sorrow and joy all at once. A smile that was somehow both heartbreaking and hope-giving. "I am the one who knew you before you were born," he said. I am the one who counted every hair on your head. I am the one who collected every tear you've cried in a bottle because not one of them was wasted. I am the one who has been fighting for you your entire life, even when you didn't know my name. Jesus, I breathed. Yes. But why? Why me? I'm nobody. I'm nothing. You are mine. His voice thundered and whispered at the same time. You are my daughter. My beloved. My chosen one. And I did not bring you this far to abandon you now. I fell to my knees in the sand. Then save me. Please. I'm begging you. Save me. He knelt down in front of me. Close enough that I could see the scars in his wrists, the holes that went all the way through. He reached out and lifted my chin with his finger. I already did, he said softly. On a cross 2,000 years ago. I saved you before you were born. Before you knew you needed saving. I took your chains. I paid your debt. I destroyed the power of death and hell and fear, all of it. For you. But I'm still trapped, I whispered. I'm still. Listen to me carefully. His eyes locked onto mine, and I couldn't look away. Your father has power over your body. But he has no power over your soul. The enemy has plans to destroy you. But I have plans to prosper you, to give you hope and a future. You will walk through fire, but you will not be burned. You will walk through water, but you will not drown. Because I am with you. How? The word came out desperate. How do I survive this? Trust me. That's it? Just, trust you? That's everything. He stood and held out his hand. I stared at it, that scarred, nail-pierced hand. The hand that had been crushed for me. That had bled for me. That was reaching for me even now. I took it. And the desert vanished. I gasped and jolted upright in my bed. My room was dark again, the light was gone. The presence had faded. But my hand was still tingling like I had actually touched something real. I looked at the clock on my nightstand, 3:33 a.m. My face was wet with tears. My heart was pounding. But something was different. I wasn't hopeless anymore. I didn't know how I would survive what was coming. I didn't know how Jesus would save me. But I knew that he would. He had come to me. In my darkest moment. In my most desperate hour. When I had given up completely. He had come. And he had called me beloved. I climbed out of bed on shaking legs and went to my desk. There, hidden under a stack of old-school papers, was a small notebook I used to use for journaling. I hadn't written in it for years, my father had forbidden it, said it was a waste of time. But tonight, I didn't care what my father said. I opened to a blank page and I wrote. Tonight, Jesus visited me. I don't understand it. I don't understand how or why. But I know it was real. He called me beloved. He said he already saved me. He said to trust him. So that's what I'm going to do. Even if it kills me. Even if I don't understand. I'm going to trust him. My hand shook as I wrote. But with every word, something inside me grew stronger. Faith. Tiny. Fragile. Barely there. But real. Morning came too quickly. The call to prayer woke me, but this time I didn't feel suffocated by it. I heard it differently. Not as the voice of my captor, but as a reminder, I serve a different God now. A God who sees me. A God who loves me. A God who came for me. My mother brought breakfast. She set it down, still refusing to meet my eyes. Tonight, she said quietly. Sheikh Abdulaziz comes at sunset. Your father expects you dressed and ready by 6 o'clock. I'll be ready, I said. She looked at me then, really looked at me, for the first time in days. Her eyes narrowed slightly, confused. You're different. Am I? You're not crying. You're not fighting. She stopped, unsure. Suspicious. What changed? I smiled. A real smile. Small but genuine. I found hope. Hope? She shook her head sadly. Hope is dangerous, daughter. Hope will only make this harder. Maybe, I said. Or maybe hope is the only thing that will get me through it. She left without another word. But I saw it, just for a second, a flicker of something in her eyes. Something that looked almost like longing. Like she was remembering what hope felt like before life crushed it out of her. I ate my breakfast. I showered. I dressed in the pink outfit she had left me. I put on the gold jewelry that jingled like chains, but this time I didn't hear chains. I heard music. Because I knew something my father didn't know. Something Sheikh Abdulaziz didn't know. Something even my mother didn't know. I wasn't alone anymore. Jesus was with me. And that changed everything. 6 o'clock came like an execution hour. I stood in front of the mirror in my room, staring at my reflection. The pink dress was beautiful. The hijab was perfectly arranged. The makeup covered the fading bruises on my cheek. I looked like the perfect Muslim bride. But inside, I was a soldier preparing for war. Jesus, I whispered to my reflection. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. But you told me to trust you. So I'm trusting you. Please, don't let me face this alone. A knock on my door. My father's voice, cold and commanding, he's here. Come down. Now. I took one last breath. Squared my shoulders. And walked out of my room. The staircase felt endless. Each step echoed in the marble foyer. Below, I could see them gathered, my father standing tall in his pristine white thobe, my mother hovering like a shadow, and him. Sheikh Abdulaziz. He was even worse than I remembered. Tall. Heavy. His beard was long and gray, stained yellow around his mouth. His eyes were small and cruel, like a predator sizing up prey. He wore expensive robes and more gold than any person needed, rings on every finger, a thick chain around his neck. When he saw me descending the stairs, he smiled. His teeth were crooked and stained. Ah, he said, his voice thick and oily. Beautiful. Just as you promised, brother. Brother. He called my father brother. They had made their deal. Their transaction. I was the product being delivered. I reached the bottom of the stairs. My father gripped my elbow, tight enough to hurt, and pulled me forward. This is my daughter, he said. There was no warmth in his voice. No pride. Just cold presentation. She is obedient. Pure. Well-educated. She will serve you well. Sheikh Abdulaziz walked closer. Too close. I could smell him, a mixture of too much cologne and something rotten underneath. His eyes traveled over me slowly, appraising every inch. Turn around, he said. I didn't move. I said turn around. His voice hardened. My father's grip on my elbow tightened. A warning. I turned slowly, my stomach churning with revulsion. I felt his eyes on me like hands. Touching. Violating. Claiming. Good hips, he said casually, like I was livestock. She'll bear sons well. Something inside me snapped. I turned back to face him. And I looked him straight in the eyes, something I was never, ever supposed to do. I am not cattle, I said quietly. The room froze. My mother gasped. My father's hand clamped down on my arm like a vice. Sheikh Abdulaziz's eyes narrowed dangerously. What did you say? I said, my voice grew stronger. Clearer. Like someone else was speaking through me. I am not cattle. I am not property. I am a human being. And I will not. The slap came from my father. Hard. Vicious. My head snapped to the side. I tasted blood again, the split lip from yesterday reopening. You will be silent, my father roared. You will apologize. You will. No. That single word hung in the air like a bomb. My father stared at me like I had grown a second head. Sheikh Abdulaziz's face darkened with rage. My mother looked like she might faint. No, my father repeated slowly. Dangerously. Did you just say no to me? I will not marry him, I said. My whole body was shaking, but my voice held steady. I will not be sold. I will not. Enough. My father grabbed me by the hair and dragged me backward. Pain exploded across my scalp. I screamed. He pulled me toward the stairs, toward my room, toward isolation and punishment and God knows what else. But just before we reached the staircase, I heard it. That voice. The same one from my room last night. Clear as day. Strong as thunder. Say my name. And I understood. Through the pain. Through the fear. Through everything. I understood. I stopped fighting my father's grip. I stopped screaming. And I spoke. Loud. Clear. Unmistakable. Jesus. My father froze. Jesus Christ is my Lord. The house shook. I'm not speaking metaphorically. The house physically shook, like a small earthquake had struck. The chandelier above us swayed violently. Glass rattled in windows. Picture frames on the walls tilted. My father released my hair and stumbled backward, his eyes wide with shock and terror. And in that moment, in that impossible, supernatural moment, I felt his presence again. Jesus was there. And the war had just begun. The shaking stopped as suddenly as it started. But the silence that followed was worse than any earthquake. It was the kind of silence that fills the space right before lightning strikes. Charged. Electric. Dangerous. My father stood frozen 3 feet away from me, his face drained of color. Sheikh Abdulaziz had backed against the wall, his small eyes darting around the room like he was searching for the source of the tremor. My mother had collapsed onto the sofa, her hand pressed over her mouth, her whole body trembling. And me? I stood in the center of the foyer, blood trickling from my lip, hair wild from where my father had grabbed it, but I wasn't afraid anymore. I felt him. Jesus. Standing right behind me. I couldn't see him with my eyes, but I felt his presence like a shield, like a wall of fire, like an army of thousands surrounding me. What? My father's voice came out hoarse, broken. What did you just say? I looked him straight in the eyes. Those black, empty wells that had terrorized me my entire life. They didn't scare me anymore. I said, I repeated slowly, clearly, Jesus Christ is my Lord. You blasphemous, Sheikh Abdulaziz pushed off the wall, his face twisted with rage. You dare speak that name in this house? You dare. Get out. The voice didn't come from me. It came from everywhere. From the walls. From the air. From the very foundation of the house. Deep. Thunderous. Unmistakable. And we all heard it. Sheikh Abdulaziz went white as death. He looked around wildly, his hands shaking. Who said that? Who? Leave this house. My voice, but not my words. They flowed out of me like water from a cracked dam. You have no authority here. No power here. This daughter belongs to the Most High God, and you will not touch her. I watched, stunned, as Sheikh Abdulaziz, this powerful man who had buried 3 wives and terrorized countless others, stumbled backward toward the door. His legs were shaking. His breath came in short gasps. He pointed a trembling finger at me. She's possessed, he shouted. She's infected with jinn. With demons. I want nothing to do with this cursed family. He grabbed his robes and fled. Actually fled. The front door slammed behind him with a bang that echoed through the entire house. He was gone. My father stood motionless, staring at the door, then at me, then at the door again. His mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. For the first time in my life, I saw something in his eyes I never thought I'd see. Fear. He was afraid of me. No. Not of me. Of what, of who, was with me. You. He finally managed. You brought a curse on this house. You've destroyed our family's honor. I found freedom, I said softly. Something you'll never understand. His fear flickered and rage rushed back in to fill the void. He crossed the room in 2 strides and grabbed me by the throat. His fingers dug into my windpipe. I gasped for air, clawing at his hands. I should kill you right now, he hissed, his face inches from mine. I should end this disgrace before it spreads. My vision started to blur. Black spots danced at the edges. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Couldn't call my name. That voice again. Clear. Urgent. Powerful. I couldn't speak. But my mind screamed at Jesus. Jesus, help me. My father's hands released instantly. He stumbled backward, staring at his own hands like they had betrayed him. He tried to reach for me again, but his arms wouldn't move. They hung at his sides, frozen. What is this? Panic crept into his voice. What have you done? What witchcraft? It's not witchcraft, Baba. I rubbed my throat, gasping for air. It's the power of the living God. The one who actually sees me. The one who actually loves me. The one you tried to hide from me my entire life. There is no other God, he roared. Allah is. Allah never answered me. The words came out raw, honest, painful. Not once. Not ever. I spent 23 years praying to a God who never spoke, never moved, never showed up. But Jesus? He came to my room last night. He spoke my name. He called me beloved. And he's here right now, protecting me from you. My father's face contorted with rage and confusion and something else, something that looked almost like grief. You've been deceived. Brainwashed. I've been set free. The lights in the chandelier above us suddenly blazed brighter, so bright we all had to shield our eyes. Then they dimmed back to normal. Then bright again. Like a heartbeat. Like breathing. Like a presence making itself known. My mother screamed and buried her face in her hands. My father backed toward the wall, his eyes wide, his breath coming fast. What do you want? He shouted at the ceiling, at the air, at the invisible presence filling his home. What do you want from us? And then, God help me, I'm telling you the truth, then I heard his voice. Not in my head this time. Out loud. Audible. Real. Everyone heard it. I want my daughter. The voice was gentle. Firm. Absolute. It filled every corner of the house like light fills a room when you open the curtains. Warm. Undeniable. Present. My father dropped to his knees. Not in worship. In terror. His hands covered his head like he was trying to protect himself from an attack. This is Jinn, he muttered frantically. This is Shaitan. This is Jesus. I walked toward him slowly. He flinched away from me. And he's more real than anything you've ever worshipped. More powerful than anything you've ever feared. He defeated death, Baba. He conquered hell. And you have no power over me anymore. I am your father. He looked up at me with wild eyes. You owe me obedience. Respect. I owe you nothing. The words should have felt harsh, but they came out sad. Grieving. You never treated me like a daughter. You treated me like property. And I won't live that way anymore. I turned to my mother, who was still huddled on the sofa, rocking back and forth. Ummy. Look at me. She shook her head, refusing. Please. Look at me. Slowly, so slowly, she lifted her tear-streaked face. Her eyes were full of anguish. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry I can't be who you needed me to be. I'm sorry I can't stay silent like you did. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Her voice cracked. Don't you dare apologize for being brave. The words hung in the air between us. A confession. A regret. A mourning for the life she never had the courage to choose. Come with me, I said suddenly. The words surprised even me. Ummy, come with me. We can leave together. We can. No. She closed her eyes, fresh tears streaming down. I'm too old. Too tired. Too broken. But you run. You run and you don't look back. You understand me? Ummy. Run. She shouted it with more force than I'd ever heard from her. Before he recovers. Before he calls his brothers. Before they hunt you down. You have maybe 1 hour. Maybe less. So you run, and you pray to your Jesus that he protects you. Because your father will not stop until you're dead. I looked at my father, still on his knees, muttering prayers in Arabic, his face twisted in rage and fear and confusion. She was right. This wasn't over. This was just the beginning. The presence, Jesus, I felt him prompting me. Urging me. Go. Now. Trust me. I ran to the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. My father shouted behind me, but his voice sounded distant, powerless. I burst into my room and grabbed a small backpack. I threw in clothes, my journal, the little money I had hidden. My phone. I needed a phone. I ran to my father's office, his door was open, he was still downstairs. His desk. Top drawer. His spare cell phone, the one he used for business he didn't want my mother knowing about. I grabbed it and ran. Down the stairs. Past my father, who was now on his feet but moving like he was wading through water. Past my mother, who met my eyes one last time and mouthed 2 words, I'm sorry. Past the fragments of my life, the marble floors, the chandelier, the photographs of a family that never really existed. Out the front door. Into the night. The air hit my face like a slap. It was after 9 o'clock. The streets of Riyadh were busy with evening traffic, people going about their lives, completely unaware that mine had just exploded. I had no plan. No destination. No idea what came next. All I knew was I had to move. Had to run. Had to. Turn left. Jesus's voice. Clear as day. Right beside me. I didn't question it. I turned left. Keep walking. 3 more blocks. I walked. My legs felt like jelly. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. Every car that passed, I flinched, thinking it was my father coming for me. But I kept walking. 3 blocks. Then, that building. 2nd floor. Apartment 2C. Knock on the door. I stared up at the building. It was old. Run down. Nothing like my family's estate. I didn't know anyone who lived here. Didn't know why Jesus would send me to this place. But I trusted him. I climbed the stairs, they were narrow and smelled like cooking spices and cigarette smoke. Found apartment 2C. Raised my shaking hand. Knocked. Footsteps inside. The door cracked open, a chain still attached. A woman's face appeared in the gap. Middle-aged. Kind eyes. Wearing a simple hijab. Yes, she asked cautiously. My voice broke. I don't know why I'm here. He told me to come here. Jesus told me. The woman's eyes went wide. The door slammed shut, and for a second I thought I'd made a terrible mistake. Then I heard the chain sliding. The door opened fully. The woman stood there, tears streaming down her face, her hand over her mouth. I prayed, she whispered. I prayed for 3 years that he would send me someone. Someone who needed help. Someone who needed safety. Someone who needed. She grabbed my hand and pulled me inside. You're her. You're the one he told me was coming. The door closed behind me. And I collapsed into her arms, this stranger who was somehow not a stranger, and I sobbed. I sobbed for everything I'd lost. Everything I'd left behind. Everything I'd never have again. But also I sobbed with relief. Because Jesus had kept his promise. He said he would be with me. He said he would protect me. He said to trust him. And he had led me straight into the arms of safety. What's your name? The woman asked gently, stroking my hair like a mother would. I don't know anymore, I whispered. My old name, it doesn't fit. He called me something else. Something new. But I don't know what it is yet. She smiled through her tears. Then we'll ask him together. But for now, you're safe. You're home. And you're not alone. Not alone. I had been alone my entire life. But not anymore. Jesus had found me. Rescued me. Called me. Claimed me. And this impossible escape, this supernatural protection, this divine appointment with a praying stranger, this was just the beginning. The old life was gone. The new life was just starting. And I had no idea what came next. But I knew that Jesus would be there. Every step of the way. The woman's name was Miriam. She spoke in hushed, urgent whispers as she locked the door behind us, 2 deadbolts and a chain. Her apartment was small. 1 bedroom. A tiny kitchen that smelled like cardamom and something sweet baking. Faded furniture that had seen better days. But it was warm. Safe. Hidden. Sit, she commanded gently, guiding me to a worn sofa. You're shaking. When did you last eat? I couldn't remember. Time had become liquid, meaningless. I don't know. She disappeared into the kitchen and returned moments later with hot tea and fresh bread. I took the cup with trembling hands, letting the warmth seep into my frozen fingers. How long have you been? I stopped, unsure how to ask. How long have you been a follower of Jesus? Her eyes softened. 7 years. I was like you once. Trapped. Desperate. Married to a man who beat me so badly I lost a baby. Her voice didn't waver, but I saw the ancient pain in her eyes. I cried out to Allah every day. Begged him to save me. To protect my children. To change my husband's heart. Nothing changed. Until one night. He came to you, I finished. Yes. Wonder filled her face. In a dream. He was wearing white, so white it hurt to look at. But his eyes. His eyes were so full of love I couldn't breathe. He said, "Daughter, I have seen your tears. Come to me, and I will give you rest." When I woke up, I knew. I knew he was real. More real than anything I'd ever known. What did you do? I searched. Secretly. Dangerously. I found other believers, hidden ones, scattered across the city like seeds in concrete. They taught me. Baptized me. Gave me a Bible. She gestured to a worn book on her shelf, disguised behind cooking magazines. And when my husband discovered what I'd done, she pulled back her sleeve. Scars ran up her arm, burns, cuts, marks of violence that made my stomach turn. He tried to kill me. Would have succeeded, too. But Jesus protected me. My son, my oldest, he stopped his father. Called the police. I escaped with my children to this place. My husband searches for me still. But Jesus keeps me hidden. I stared at her scars, then at my own hands, unmarked, privileged, pampered. I don't know if I'm strong enough for this. I don't know if I can. You don't have to be strong. She took my hands in hers. That's the point. He is strong. We are weak. And in our weakness, his power is perfected. A verse. She was quoting a verse. Somehow I knew it, even though I'd barely read the Bible. How long do I have? I asked quietly. Before my father finds me? Miriam's face grew grave. Not long. Hours, maybe. He'll call his brothers, his business associates, the imam. They'll search the whole city. And when they find you. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Honor killing. That's what awaited me. Swift. Brutal. Justified under their interpretation of Sharia law. A daughter who converts to Christianity, who shames her family, who runs away, she deserves death. That's what they would say. What they would believe. What they would do. So what do I do? Desperation crept into my voice. Where do I go? How do I? You pray. Miriam stood and walked to her shelf, pulling out that hidden Bible. And you trust that the God who brought you this far will finish what he started. She opened the book, the pages were worn, marked with notes and tear stains and years of desperate seeking. She found a passage and read aloud. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. Fire. The word sent a chill down my spine. What is it? Miriam saw my face change. My father. I swallowed hard. Before I left, he found my phone. Found evidence that I'd been reading about Jesus. He said I would burn that book, or he would burn me. Miriam went pale. Did he have? A pounding on the door cut her off. Violent. Aggressive. Furious. Open this door. My father's voice. Somehow, impossibly, he had found me. Miriam grabbed my arm, her eyes wide with terror. The bedroom. Now. There's a window. I know you're in there, daughter. The pounding grew louder. The door shook on its hinges. I know you're hiding like the coward you are. Come out now or I'll burn this entire building down. Miriam pushed me toward the bedroom, but I stopped. Something inside me, something stronger than fear, rose up. That same presence I'd felt in my father's house. Jesus. Standing with me. Behind me. Inside me. This is the moment, beloved. This is where you choose. Hide or stand. Run or trust. Fear or faith. I looked at Miriam. Do you have a Bible? One I can hold? What? No, you need to. Do you have one? She hesitated, then pulled a small New Testament from her pocket. I carry it everywhere. But why? I took it from her hands. The leather was warm. Worn. Loved. And I walked to the door. What are you doing? Miriam hissed. He'll kill you. He'll. I know. My voice was steady. Calm. Like someone else was speaking through me. But Jesus said when I walk through fire, I won't be burned. So let's see if he's telling the truth. I reached for the deadbolts. Daughter. Last warning. I slid the first bolt. Then the second. Then the chain. I opened the door. My father stood in the hallway with 4 other men, his brothers, uncles, elders from our community. All of them were armed. Not with guns, those were too obvious, but with other things. A metal rod. A leather belt. A container of liquid that smelled like gasoline. My father's face was a mask of cold fury. In his hand, he held a lighter. "There you are," he said softly. "Dangerously. My disgraceful, blasphemous daughter." I stood in the doorway, the Bible clutched against my chest. I was terrified, my legs were shaking so badly I could barely stand. But I didn't move. Didn't run. "Baba," I said quietly. "You don't have to do this." "Don't I?" He gestured to the men behind him. "You've shamed us. Destroyed our family's honor. Turned your back on Allah, on Islam, on everything we hold sacred. There's only one way to cleanse this stain. By murdering your own daughter? By executing a traitor." His voice was ice. "You made your choice. Now you face the consequences." One of the uncles stepped forward with the gasoline. My father flicked the lighter, flame burst to life, small and deadly. "Burn the book," my father commanded. "Denounce this false prophet. Return to Islam. And maybe, I'll let you live." I looked down at the Bible in my hands. This book. These words. This truth that had given me hope when I had none. This Jesus who had called me beloved. Who had saved me. Who had promised to protect me. Could I burn it? Could I denounce him? To save my own life? I thought about Peter, denying Jesus 3 times before the rooster crowed. I thought about how Jesus had forgiven him anyway. How Jesus understood weakness, understood fear, understood the desperate human need to survive. Maybe he would understand if I did this. Maybe he would forgive me. Maybe. Do you love me more than these? The question dropped into my heart like a stone into water. And I knew, it was Jesus asking. The same question he'd asked Peter after the resurrection. The same test. The same choice. Do you love me more than your own life? I looked up at my father. At the flame dancing in his hand. At the gasoline waiting to consume me. At death standing right in front of me, patient and certain. And I made my choice. No, I said clearly. I will not burn this book. I will not denounce Jesus. He is Lord. He is God. He is my Savior. And I would rather die with him than live without him. My father's face twisted with rage. So be it. He nodded to the uncle with the gasoline. The man moved forward. And I did something that still makes my hands shake when I remember it. I stepped out into the hallway. Fully. Completely. Away from the safety of Miriam's apartment. Away from any escape route. I stood directly in front of my father and his death squad. And I held the Bible out in front of me. Then burn it, I said. If your Allah is more powerful than my Jesus, burn this book. Destroy it. Prove that your God is stronger. The uncle poured gasoline over the Bible in my hands. The smell was overwhelming, chemical, toxic, deadly. It soaked into the pages, dripping down my arms. My father held up the lighter. Last chance, he said. Jesus, I whispered. Not to my father. To my Lord. If you're really with me, prove it. Not for me. For them. Show them your power. Show them you're alive. My father dropped the lighter. Flame touched gasoline. And the Bible should have exploded. Should have erupted in an inferno that consumed my hands, my arms, my body. That's what gasoline does. That's what fire does. But it didn't. The flame hit the Bible, and went out. Just went out. Like it hit water instead of gasoline. Like it touched stone instead of paper. The hallway went silent. My father stared. His brothers stared. The uncle with the gasoline stumbled backward, his face white with shock. Try again, I said. My voice didn't shake anymore. Your Allah is great, right? Surely he can burn one book. My father's hand trembled as he pulled out another lighter. Clicked it. Flame burst to life. He touched it directly to the gasoline-soaked Bible. The flame went out. Again. "What is this?" he roared. "What trick, what witchcraft?" "It's not witchcraft," I said, and now there were tears streaming down my face. Not tears of fear. Tears of awe. "It's the power of the living God. The one you tried to keep from me. The one who loved me enough to die for me. The one who is protecting me right now because I am his. And you, Baba, you have no power here." One of the uncles dropped to his knees. "It's a miracle," he breathed. I saw it. The flame touched the gasoline but it didn't burn. "It's impossible. It's—" "Get up," my father screamed at him. "It's a trick. It's—" But his voice had lost its power. His rage had lost its teeth. He stood there holding a useless lighter, staring at a Bible that should be ash but wasn't, facing a daughter who should be terrified but wasn't. Because Jesus was there. Visible in the miracle. Undeniable in the impossible. Present in the protection. I held up the gasoline-soaked Bible. Not a single page was charred. Not a single word was destroyed. "You can't kill me," I said softly. "Not because I'm strong. Not because I'm brave. But because he won't let you. He has plans for me. A purpose for me. And you, Baba, you're not part of it anymore." My father's face crumpled. The rage drained away, replaced by something I'd never seen before. Defeat. He dropped the lighter. It clattered to the floor. And without another word, he turned and walked away. His brothers followed, some looking back at me with fear, others with wonder, one with tears streaming down his face. They disappeared down the stairs. And I stood alone in that hallway, holding an impossible Bible, drenched in gasoline that wouldn't burn. Miriam appeared in the doorway, her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide with shock and joy and reverence. "He did it," she whispered. "Jesus really did it." "He always does," I said, and I started laughing. Crying and laughing at the same time. He always keeps his promises. I looked down at the Bible, this miraculous, gasoline-soaked, fireproof proof of God's power. And I knew. I knew this was just the beginning. The fire couldn't touch me. The death couldn't take me. The enemy couldn't stop me. Because I belonged to Jesus. And he was far from finished with my story. Miriam pulled me back into the apartment and locked the door, though we both knew now that locks didn't matter. Jesus was my protection. She stared at the Bible in my hands, still dripping with gasoline, still completely unburned. With shaking fingers, she touched the cover, almost afraid it would vanish, like maybe we'd both imagined it. "It's real," she breathed. "I saw it, but I still can't believe it." The flame just died. Like it hit an invisible wall. I set the Bible carefully on her kitchen counter. The gasoline smell filled the small apartment, sharp and chemical and impossible to ignore. But underneath it, I swear I could smell something else. Something sweet. Like incense. Like the presence of God lingering in the air. "We need to leave," Miriam said suddenly, snapping into action. "Your father may have retreated, but he won't stay gone. He'll regroup. Bring more men. Bring weapons. Bring—" "I know." I was surprised by how calm I sounded. How steady. The terror that had gripped me for weeks was gone, replaced by something else. Something solid. Unshakable. "Where do we go?" "There's a network," she said quietly, moving to her bedroom. I heard her pulling things from drawers, packing quickly. Underground believers. Safe houses scattered across the country. People who help refugees like us. Muslims who found Jesus. Christians who've stayed hidden for generations. We're not alone, there are more of us than you think. We just survive in the shadows. She emerged with a small bag and handed me a black abaya, plain, generic, the kind millions of women wore. "Put this on. Cover completely. We need to blend in." Disappear. I took the abaya, but hesitated. Miriam, what about you? If they know you helped me. Then they know. Her voice was firm. Resolved. I made my choice 7 years ago. I chose Jesus over safety. Over comfort. Over life itself. And I'd make the same choice every single day. She helped me change out of the pink dress, that death shroud my mother had laid out, and into simple, dark clothing. The abaya covered everything. I looked in her bathroom mirror and barely recognized myself. I looked like every other woman on the streets of Riyadh. Anonymous. Invisible. Free. Do you have any money? Miriam asked. I pulled out the cash I'd grabbed from my room, not much, maybe enough for a few days. She added her own savings, counting it quickly. It's not enough to leave the country. But it'll get us to the first safe house. After that, we trust Jesus for provision. There was that phrase again. Trust Jesus. It sounded insane. Reckless. Foolish. But I'd just watched fire refuse to burn a gasoline-soaked Bible. If Jesus could do that, he could do anything. We left Miriam's apartment at midnight. The streets were quieter now, Riyadh settling into its late-night rhythm. We kept our heads down, walking quickly but not running. Running would draw attention. We needed to be invisible. Miriam led me through a maze of back streets and alleys I'd never known existed. Despite living in this city my entire life, I'd only ever seen it from behind car windows and high walls. I'd never walked these streets. Never smelled the mixture of cooking spices and diesel fuel. Never heard the cats fighting in the garbage or the distant sound of someone's television through an open window. Where are we going? I whispered. Bus station. There's a midnight bus to Jeddah. We'll take it as far as we can, then meet a contact who'll drive us the rest of the way. And then? She glanced at me. Then we disappear. New city. New names. New lives. It's the only way to survive. New names. The thought sent a chill through me. My old name, the one my father gave me, it meant light in Arabic. But I'd spent my whole life in darkness. Maybe it was time for a new name. A true name. I will give you a new name, that voice whispered in my heart. Jesus. Still with me. Still speaking. A name that reflects who you really are. Not who they tried to make you. We were 2 blocks from the bus station when I heard it. Sirens. Miriam grabbed my arm. Walk normally. Don't look. Don't react. But the sirens were getting closer. Multiple vehicles. Converging. He called the police, I breathed. My father called. Just walk. Jesus got you through fire. He'll get you through this. The police cars screamed past us, 3, 4, 5 of them. They weren't stopping. They were heading somewhere else. Somewhere. They're going to my apartment, Miriam said quietly. Your father told them where I live. They'll search it. Find the Bible. Find evidence I'm a Christian. Miriam, guilt crushed my chest. I've destroyed your life. Everything you built here. No. She squeezed my arm. You gave me a purpose. For 3 years, I've been praying for someone to help. Someone to save. Someone to pass the torch to. And Jesus sent me you. My life isn't destroyed. It's fulfilled. Tears burned my eyes, but I blinked them back. We couldn't afford tears right now. We needed to move. The bus station appeared ahead, a dingy building with fluorescent lights and people scattered on benches, waiting. We approached the ticket counter. Miriam asked for 2 tickets to Jeddah. The man behind the counter was old, weathered, barely paying attention. He quoted a price. Miriam paid. He handed over 2 tickets without ever really looking at our faces. We were nobody. Nothing. Just 2 more women in black traveling in the night. Bus leaves in 20 minutes, Miriam said. We wait in the bathroom. Safer. We locked ourselves in a single-stall bathroom that smelled like bleach and desperation. Miriam pulled out the cell phone I'd stolen from my father's office. We need to turn this off, she said. They can track it. But first, is there anyone you need to contact? Anyone who might help? I thought of my mother. Her sad eyes. Her whispered command, run. My mother, I said. I need to tell her I'm okay. That's dangerous. They might. Please. Miriam hesitated, then handed me the phone. One message. Fast. Then we destroy this phone. I typed quickly, my hands shaking. I'm safe. Jesus is protecting me. I love you. I forgive you. And I pray someday you'll find the courage I found. Don't look for me. Forget me. Save yourself. I hit send. 30 seconds later, a response came. I can't forget you. You're my daughter. You're brave. So much braver than I ever was. I will pray to your Jesus. I will ask him to show me what you saw. Go. Run. Live free. For both of us. I stared at that message until the screen blurred with tears. My mother. My broken, silent, defeated mother. She was praying to Jesus. Time, Miriam said gently. She took the phone, removed the SIM card, and smashed it against the tile floor. Then she threw the pieces in the trash under crumpled paper towels. We emerged from the bathroom. The bus was boarding. We climbed on board, Miriam first, then me. Found seats in the back. The bus was half empty. Good. Fewer eyes. Fewer questions. The engine rumbled to life. The door hissed shut. And we pulled away from Riyadh. Away from my father's house. Away from forced marriage. Away from death. Toward something unknown. Something terrifying. Something hopeful. We'd been driving for 40 minutes when my phone, the one in my bag that I didn't know was there, started ringing. No. Not ringing. Vibrating. I'd forgotten about it completely. Miriam's eyes went wide. Did you bring a phone? I didn't, I don't know how. I pulled it out. A smartphone I'd never seen before. But the screen was lit up with an incoming call from a number I didn't recognize. Don't answer it, Miriam hissed. It could be. But my hand was already moving. Like someone else was controlling it. I answered. Hello? Daughter. My father's voice. Cold. Deadly. Triumphant. Did you really think you could run from me? Did you really think your demon god could protect you? My blood turned to ice. How did you? I put that phone in your bag this morning. Before your little rebellion. Before your escape. I've been tracking you since you left. I know exactly where you are. And I'm 10 minutes behind you. The bus. He knew we were on the bus. You can't stop me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Jesus. Your Jesus performed one little trick with fire. Congratulations. But let's see if he can stop a bullet. My father's voice was pure venom. I'm coming for you. And this time, there will be no miracles. No escape. No. The phone went dead. Not because he hung up. The screen just went black. Completely off. Like the battery died. But it had been fully charged. I looked at Miriam, panic rising. He's following us. He knows we're on this bus. He's 10 minutes behind and he has a gun. Miriam's face was pale but determined. Okay. Okay, we need to. The bus driver's radio crackled to life. A voice in Arabic, official, commanding, "All buses are ordered to stop for inspection." Repeat. All buses must stop immediately for inspection. By order of. The bus began to slow. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." Miriam grabbed my hand. "Listen to me. When this bus stops, we run. We split up. Make it harder for them to catch us both. I'm not leaving you. You have to." Her grip tightened. "You're the one with the testimony. You're the one who saw the miracle. You're the one who needs to survive to tell others. I'm just. Don't you dare say you're just anything." Tears streamed down my face. "You saved me. You're. And now you'll save others." She smiled through her own tears. "That's how this works. We pass the light forward. Person to person. Life to life. Until the whole world sees." The bus stopped. Doors hissed open. Men in uniform climbed aboard. Behind them, I saw a familiar figure. Tall. Wearing a white thobe. Black eyes scanning the seats. My father. "Now." Miriam shoved me toward the emergency exit at the back of the bus. "Go." I kicked the emergency door open, alarms blared. I jumped out into the darkness. Hit the ground hard. Rolled. Behind me, I heard shouting. Miriam's voice yelling something in Arabic, drawing their attention. Buying me time. Sacrificing herself. "No." I screamed. "Miriam. Run." Her voice cut through the chaos. "Run and don't look back." So I ran. Into the desert darkness. Away from the road. Away from the bus. Away from Miriam and my father and everything that wanted me dead. I ran until my lungs burned. Until my legs gave out. Until I collapsed in the sand, gasping, sobbing, destroyed. I had lost everything. My home. My family. My safety. And now Miriam. I pressed my face into the cold sand and screamed. A raw, primal scream that echoed across the empty desert. "Jesus! Where are you? You said you'd protect me. You said you'd be with me. But I'm alone. Miriam's captured. My father's hunting me. I have nothing left." The wind was my only answer. Cold. Indifferent. Empty. I lay there in the sand, broken and defeated, waiting for my father to find me. Waiting for the bullet. Waiting for it all to end. And that's when I heard footsteps. Approaching slowly through the darkness. I didn't even lift my head. I didn't care anymore. "Just do it," I whispered. "Just kill me. I'm done. Stand up, beloved." That voice. Not my father's. His. Jesus. I lifted my head, and there, in the darkness, I saw him. Not in a dream this time. Not in a vision. Actually there. Standing in the desert. Wearing white that glowed softly in the darkness. His scarred hands reaching toward me. You're really here," I breathed. "I never left." He smiled, that heartbreaking, beautiful smile. "Stand up. You still have work to do. This story isn't over. But Miriam is with me. In ways you don't yet understand. And your father." Behind me, I heard shouting. Engines revving. Lights sweeping across the sand. Jesus looked past me toward the approaching vehicles. And his gentle face, hardened into something fierce. Something powerful. Something terrifying. "He will not touch you tonight," Jesus said. "Or ever again. I have spoken it. It is done." He reached down and took my hand. And everything changed. When Jesus took my hand, the desert transformed. I don't mean it changed physically, the sand was still sand, the darkness still darkness. But something shifted in the spiritual realm. Something broke. Or maybe something snapped into place. I felt it like a shockwave through my entire body. The engines behind me, my father's vehicles, the police, the death squad hunting me, they stopped. Just stopped. I heard shouting. Confusion. Then silence. I turned to look, but Jesus gently guided my face back toward him. "Don't look back," he said softly. Lot's wife looked back and became salt. Peter looked at the waves and began to sink. "When I call you forward, beloved, you only look at me." But what happened to them? Are they confused? Blinded? Scattered? They're driving in circles, unable to find you even though you're right here. Because you're not hidden by darkness, you're hidden by me. And when I hide something, the enemy cannot find it. I stared at him. This Jesus. This God who was man who was God. Who had scars in his hands from nails that held him to a cross for me. Who had died and risen and conquered death so that I, a girl from Riyadh who deserved nothing, could be called beloved. Why me? The question fell out of my mouth. Why did you choose me? I'm nobody. I'm nothing special. There are millions of Muslim girls just like me, trapped just like I was. Why did you save me and not them? His eyes, those eyes that held eternity, filled with something that looked like grief. You think I only came for you? He asked gently. Beloved, I'm calling millions. I'm appearing in dreams across the Middle East, across Africa, across Asia. I'm visiting Muslim women and men every single night. Some respond. Some reject. Some are too afraid. But you said yes. You chose to trust me even when it made no sense. Even when it cost you everything. And now you get to be part of my rescue mission for the others. What do you mean? He smiled. You'll see. But first, you need to get somewhere safe. Keep walking east. In 3 miles, you'll reach a road. A car will stop, a woman driving alone. She'll ask if you need help. Say yes. She's one of mine. She'll take you where you need to go. And then? Then you heal. You rest. You learn. You grow strong. And when the time is right, you tell your story. You tell it loudly. You tell it everywhere. You tell it until the whole world knows that I am real, I am alive, and I am still saving people who cry out to me. Tears streamed down my face. I don't know how to do any of that. I know. That's why I'll be with you. Every single step. Teaching you. Guiding you. Speaking through you. You're not alone anymore, daughter. You never will be again. He released my hand, and suddenly I was alone in the desert again. But not really alone. I could still feel him. Like he was walking beside me. Invisible but present. Silent but speaking. I looked toward the east. Nothing but darkness and sand and stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. And I started walking. 3 miles. In the desert. At night. With no water, no map, no light except the stars. It should have been impossible. But with every step, I felt stronger. Less afraid. More certain. I thought about everything that had happened. The forced marriage. The discovery of Jesus. The supernatural encounter in my room. The confrontation with my father. The Bible that wouldn't burn. The escape. Miriam's sacrifice. Every impossible moment. Every miracle. Every time Jesus had shown up exactly when I needed him. He was real. Not a concept. Not a religion. Not a distant deity who demanded obedience but gave nothing in return. He was a person. A savior. A friend who loved me enough to die for me, and loved me enough to keep me alive. If you're watching this right now, and you've been told your whole life that God is distant, demanding, impossible to please, I need you to hear me. That's not Jesus. Jesus is different. Jesus is close. Jesus is kind. Jesus meets you in your darkness and calls you by name and tells you that you're worth dying for. I found that out in a bedroom in Riyadh when I had given up hope. And it changed everything. After what felt like hours but was probably less, I saw lights in the distance. A road. Just like he said. I reached the pavement and stood there, dusty and exhausted and alive. So impossibly alive. 5 minutes later, headlights appeared. A car, small, old, driven by someone cautious. It slowed as it approached me. The window rolled down. A woman's face appeared, maybe 40, wearing a simple hijab, kind eyes full of concern. "Are you okay?" she asked in Arabic. "Do you need help?" The words Jesus told me to say. The code. The connection. Yes, I answered. "I need help." She smiled, and I saw tears in her eyes. "Get in, sister. Jesus sent me for you." Her name was Noor. She was a nurse. A widow. A secret believer for 8 years. She drove through the night, taking back roads and routes that avoided checkpoints. She gave me water, bread, a blanket. She asked no questions. Just drove and prayed quietly under her breath. "Where are we going?" I finally asked. "Somewhere safe. A house run by believers, ex-Muslims like us. People who chose Jesus and lost everything. We take care of each other there. Heal together. Grow together. Then, when we're strong enough, we're sent out. Some go to other countries. Some stay and work underground. Some," she glanced at me. "Some are called to tell their stories. To be voices for the voiceless." We drove for 6 hours. The sun rose, painting the desert golden, pink and orange. We passed through small towns where life was waking up, markets opening, calls to prayer echoing, people starting their day with no idea that 2 women in their car were refugees. Fugitives. Miracles on wheels. Finally, we turned down a long dirt road. At the end sat a compound, high walls, a metal gate, simple buildings inside. It looked like nothing. Like a farm or a warehouse. But when the gate opened and I saw the people inside, women, men, children, all ages, all backgrounds, I knew. This was sanctuary. Noor parked and helped me out. My legs were shaky. My body was running on fumes and miracles. A woman approached, older, gray hair showing beneath her scarf, a face that had seen suffering and survived it. She looked at me, and her eyes filled with tears. "Another one," she whispered. "Another daughter rescued. Praise Jesus." She pulled me into her arms, this stranger, and held me while I sobbed. Deep, wrenching sobs that came from a place I didn't know existed. The tears I hadn't been allowed to cry. The grief I hadn't been allowed to feel. The trauma I hadn't been allowed to acknowledge. It all came out. And she held me through every bit of it. "Welcome home," she whispered. "You're safe now. You're family now. You're free now." I lived in that compound for 8 months. 8 months of healing. Of learning. Of growing. Of slowly becoming the person Jesus had always meant me to be. They taught me the Bible, really taught me. Not just verses, but context. History. Meaning. The story of a God who has been pursuing humanity since the beginning. Who made a way when there was no way. Who loved us before we loved him. I learned that Jesus didn't come to start a religion. He came to end the separation between God and people. He came to tear down the barriers. To silence the accusations. To destroy the power of sin and death and shame. He came to set captives free. And I was living proof. They also taught me practical things. English, since I'd need it if I left Saudi Arabia. Computer skills. How to tell my story safely. How to protect myself. How to recognize when Jesus was speaking and when it was just my own fear or desire. But more than anything, they taught me that I wasn't alone. There were dozens of us in that compound. Former Muslims. Former atheists. Former everything. All of us had encountered Jesus in impossible ways. Dreams. Visions. Miracles. Supernatural rescues. We shared our stories late into the night. We cried together. We prayed together. We became a family forged in fire. And slowly, so slowly I almost didn't notice, I started to smile again. To laugh again. To hope again. The girl who had wanted to jump from a balcony in Riyadh was gone. In her place was a woman who had walked through fire and not been burned. Who had faced death and been protected. Who had lost everything and gained something far more valuable. Freedom. I tried to find out what happened to Miriam. I asked everyone. I searched what little news I could access. I prayed desperately for information. 4 months, I heard nothing. Then, one day, Noor came to me with tears streaming down her face. She was holding a piece of paper, a printed email from another underground network. "She's alive," Noor said. "Miriam. She was arrested. Interrogated. Beaten. But she never told them anything. Never gave them names or locations. She protected everyone. Where is she now? Prison. They sentenced her to 15 years for apostasy and helping you escape. 15 years. My fault. My responsibility. Don't." Noor grabbed my shoulders. "Don't you dare take that guilt. Miriam made her choice. Just like you made yours." And you know what she said in her trial? When they asked her if she regretted helping you? I shook my head, tears falling. She said, "I regret nothing. I would do it again 1,000 times. Because that girl is free now. And Jesus is worth more than my freedom. He's worth more than my life. He's worth everything." Then she smiled at the judge and said, "One day, you'll know his name too." I collapsed to my knees. I have to do something. I have to. You have to honor her sacrifice, Noor said firmly. You have to do what she gave her freedom for. You have to tell your story. You have to let the world know that Jesus is real, that he's still saving people, that he's worth every cost. She was right. Miriam hadn't given her freedom so I could hide. She'd given it so I could speak. So I started speaking. 9 months after my escape, I was smuggled out of Saudi Arabia. It was dangerous. Complicated. Expensive. But the underground network made it happen. False documents. Secret routes. People risking their lives to move me from one safe house to another until finally, I crossed a border. I was free. Truly free. In a country where I could speak Jesus' name without fear of death. Where I could read the Bible openly. Where I could tell my story. And that's exactly what I did. I started with a small YouTube channel. Just me. A borrowed camera. A simple backdrop. No editing. No production. Just me and my story. My name means light, I said in that first video. But I spent 23 years living in darkness. Until Jesus found me. Until he called me beloved. Until he saved me from a forced marriage, protected me through fire, and led me to freedom. And if he did it for me, he can do it for you too. That video got 200 views. The second got 1,000. The third got 10,000. Within 6 months, I had hundreds of thousands of people watching. Muslims reaching out in secret. Ex-Muslims sharing their own stories. Christians praying. Atheists questioning. People everywhere encountering the testimony of a God who still moves, still saves, still performs miracles. I get messages every single day. Messages that say, "I had the same dream about Jesus. I thought I was crazy. But now I know he's real. Your story gave me courage to leave Islam. I'm safe now. Thank you. I'm still trapped, but I know Jesus is with me. I'm waiting for my miracle like you got yours. And every single message breaks my heart and fills it at the same time. Because I know. I know what it's like to be trapped. To be hopeless. To cry out to a God who doesn't answer. But I also know what it's like when Jesus shows up. When he calls your name. When he proves that he's real. When he sets you free. So if you're watching this right now, if you've made it all the way to the end of this story, I need you to hear me. This isn't just my story. It's an invitation. Jesus is calling you. Right now. In this moment. He knows your name. He sees your pain. He understands your fear. And he's reaching out his scarred hand, waiting for you to take it. Maybe you're Muslim, and you've been taught that Jesus is just a prophet. I'm telling you, he's more. He's God. He's Savior. He's the one who loves you enough to die for you. Maybe you're an atheist, and you think this is all fairy tales and delusion. I'm telling you, I would have agreed with you 9 months ago. But I watched a Bible refuse to burn. I felt Jesus' hand in mine. I walked through impossible circumstances and survived. This isn't fairy tale. This is reality. Maybe you're a Christian, and your faith has grown cold. I'm telling you, he's still moving. Still saving. Still performing miracles. Don't give up. Don't grow comfortable. There's a world full of people desperate for the hope you carry. Whoever you are. Whatever you've done. However broken you feel. Jesus wants you. Not a cleaned up version of you. Not a perfect version. Not a version that has it all together. You. Right now. Exactly as you are. And if you want him, if you want this freedom, this love, this hope that I found, then pray with me. Right now. Out loud or in your heart. It doesn't matter. He hears either way. Say. Jesus, I don't know if you're real. But if you are, if you really see me, if you really love me, if you really died for me, then show me. Reveal yourself to me like you did for her. Save me like you saved her. I'm tired of being trapped. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of empty religion and distant gods. I want you. The real you. Please. Come into my life. Be my Savior. Be my Lord. Set me free. If you just prayed that, even if you're not sure you meant it, even if you're skeptical, I'm telling you right now, he heard you. And he's already moving in your life. You might not see it immediately. You might not feel different right away. But something has shifted. Something has begun. And if you're willing to trust him, to follow him even when it's hard, even when it costs you everything, then get ready. Because your life is about to change. Not because you're special. Not because you earned it. But because Jesus is faithful. And when he starts something, he finishes it. He finished it for me. He'll finish it for you. I still don't know what happened to my father. If he's still searching. If he's given up. If maybe, just maybe, he saw that miracle and something cracked in his hardened heart. I pray for him. Every single day. I pray that the God who saved me will save him too. I don't know what happened to my mother. If she's praying to Jesus like she said she would. If she's still trapped in that mansion. If she's found a way out. I pray for her too. That the courage she told me to have will become her own. But I do know what happened to me. I died in that house in Riyadh. The old me. The trapped me. The voiceless me. And I was resurrected into something new. Someone new. A daughter of the Most High God. Beloved. Chosen. Free. My name isn't Light anymore, the Arabic name my father gave me that never fit. Jesus gave me a new name. He whispered it to me one night in prayer, and I wept when I heard it. He calls me Hope. Because that's what I am now. That's what my story is. hope for the hopeless, light for those in darkness. Proof that Jesus is real and active and still performing miracles in the 21st century. I am hope. And if I can be saved, if I can walk through fire and not be burned, if I can escape death and find freedom, if I can go from suicidal to speaking life over millions, then so can you. Jesus is calling your name right now. Will you answer? Don't wait. Don't delay. Don't think you need to fix yourself first or be good enough or understand it all. Just say yes. Say yes to Jesus. Say yes to freedom. Say yes to hope. And watch what he does with your life. I promise you on everything I've lived through, he is worth it. He is real. And he will never, ever let you go. My name is Hope. And this is my testimony. Jesus saved me. And he wants to save you too. If this testimony touched you, if you prayed that prayer, if you want to know more about Jesus, don't do this alone. Reach out. Find other believers. Search for resources. Read the Bible, start with the Gospel of John. And if you're in danger because of your faith, if you're trapped like I was, there are networks that can help. Underground churches. Safe houses. People who will risk everything to get you to safety. You are not alone. Jesus is with you. And so are we, millions of us around the world who chose Jesus over everything else. Welcome to the family. Welcome to freedom. Welcome home. For more testimonies and resources, subscribe and turn on notifications. Your story could be next.